Hey there. One must always be shaved. Present the same image day to day. I've been watching Danny DeVito, and even though he is a diminutive, somewhat unattractive guy, if I were thinking of it from a woman's perspective, he shaves. When I always see him shaved, and I don't shave. I shave once a week because I'm trying to be like Jesus. But the thing is that I'm not at all like Jesus, so it's kind of pointless. But I did try to drink a half a gallon. I only managed to have a third of a gallon when I woke up. That's another thing Jesus does. Shave once a week. I try to have a half a gallon of water every morning. And I don't exercise or do any of the other things like feel your emotions and try and get closer to God and ask for God's love, things like that. But I do try to be like Jesus. One time I walked like a long way just in one direction after reading the Bible. And it took me to a lake. I only had sandals on my feet. And like whatever I had on me, I didn't have any keys or watch or anything else. And I was just like, let me just walk in one direction. And I walked 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 and I walked. And then I came to some water and I just went forward. I hesitated before I did it, but I did walk forward into the water and then I swam. But it was hard because I had sandals on my feet and the sandals, like as I was swimming, like paddling my legs up and down, the sandals were like flop, like trying to pull me down, and then I was trying to pull away from the sandals. I don't know if it was like I don't know what the motion was, but it was hard, and I almost felt like I was gonna drown. And and there were people around me who were like, "Hey, you need some help, buddy?" And I was like, um, I was thinking maybe, but that would destroy what I'm trying to do, which is be like Jesus. So I said, no, I'm good. So what am I talking about? Um, I titled this stream "Destroying the Premise That I'm a Good Person," and it's a weird thing to try to do, like to preemptively say, "Oh no, 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 I'm not that good. No, 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 no. Don't think I'm good because I'm not good." Like, wouldn't you want people to think that you're good? Turns out I don't, and yet I think I do in the deep recesses of my heart because I don't want people to attack me or ostracize me. I want them to ostracize me just enough. I want them to think I'm a weirdo on the outskirts of society who is somehow doing good work. I don't know what he's doing, but it's somehow good work. When in truth, I'm just like spending my days masturbating and playing cell phone games and stuff like that, and pretending I'm smart by listening to a whole bunch of stuff that blows up my intellectual world. You know, through being, I don't know, what am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying. Um, I was just thinking, like, I was just playing a cell phone game and listening to a Divine Truth video, um, where I think the title of the video, I have it here. Where is it? Where did I put it? Where's my cell phone? Oh, it was right behind me. Title of, so I'm getting so tired with my other card game that I'm playing Picross, which is a game. that I've been addicted to for a long time, and they keep coming out with new videos or new Picrosses that I'll play until it's done, and then I uninstall. But this is what I've been watching: spirits who exploit people on Earth. Um, it's interesting. There's another video just before that where AJ and Mary talk to spirits that believe in reincarnation, and these people also believe in reincarnation, and they use people who are interested in reincarnation, and they get them to do stuff, and uh, supposedly. So it is very interesting. It really is. I'm not kidding. It's a very interesting video. The spirits in question, I think one of them is Anthony, are really really mad, and they came out swinging. They called AJ an idiot, and AJ didn't take that bullshit. It's one thing that I really respect from him. I knew someone that you know I was talking to who is familiar with the Divine Truth teachings, and he told me, when AJ kicked those people out of his assistance group, which I think he did in like 2016 or something. I don't know. He was like, that was, I just couldn't believe that. I couldn't stand that. And I'm like, what? I thought that was awesome. That's what I thought. He thought something completely different. I thought it was awesome. Maybe it's because I like judging people or, teaching people a lesson. I might share a video soon where I found out that was one of my major addictions, is teaching people lessons. But yeah, that's one thing I respect about AJ is how he doesn't take crap from people. He'll he will do what no one else does. He doesn't when people are ugly, he doesn't return ugliness with ugliness. Like some people will escort you out and then like be polite mean and be like, well, this is why I'm doing this, and you're awful, and they don't say you're awful, but they'll remain polite, but they're still mean at the same time, and they'll still want to bring you down and everything. But he doesn't. I don't see him doing that. I see him being honest with the person the whole time. Like, you're attacking me, so, or in that case of the 2016 groups, like it's because of your anger or any other issue that you have a problem with that I'm wanting. I've been telling you about for years. He was saying he would tell people about their issues for a long time, and they didn't do anything about it, and they're still coming to his groups. And I think he mostly um, kicked out the people that were particularly antagonistic. It's not like, I guess there are certain emotions that you can hold that are not so bad. But if you have extreme anger, if you're extremely violent, then you can, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, um, I'm wondering about myself. It's interesting how I divide my life. You know, I can hear my one of my housemates in the kitchen doing things, and I want to keep my voice to a minimum because I don't want him to hear what I'm wanting to say. So I'm also not going to broach some of the topics that I wanted to broach at this time. I'll wait until the noise evaporates. Check this out. This is a spoon dyed different colors. It's made from paca, which is a type of bamboo. I found it in a store, and I spent $13 on it, which I normally wouldn't do, but I did because I went to um, challenge myself, I guess. Mm, yeah, I've got all these feelings about money. Mm. I never feel secure when it comes to issues of money. Never feel secure. I don't know if I can continue doing this stream because I just drank a lot of water, and when I drink a lot of water, I have to pee like several times. I might do something revolutionary, something extraordinary. I might actually pee like next to the camera, not not on camera, because um why? Well, I don't think that I don't know. Maybe I should. One thing I thought about doing is picking my nose and then eating whatever boogers I find. Now, what I could have done is I could have said that, and then I could have like rushed to explain what the hell I'm talking about. See, you mean you're gonna pick your own boogers and eat them? Yeah, that's exactly what I just said. But you can't do that. Not supposed to do that. And then I would rush to defend myself, like preemptively defend myself. I can't. It's not like anyone's accusing me directly, and I'm not talking to anybody but myself, or like I'm talking to people in a stream theoretically who might be watching, including you. You're one of those people. And but besides that, there's no one here. But I still want to defend myself. That's a curious thing. So, is it wrong? Maybe. Is it salty? Yes, I think. It's not that bad actually. You know how kids, like children, will do that, and then they often stop. Well, some people don't stop, and I'm one of those people. So if you believe that what the major thing that is required for people to grow and mature and become adults is that they stop picking their nose and eating the boogers that they find, then I can tell you emphatically I'm not a good person. So that right there should, for you, yeah. Um, I'm trying to think where to go from here. Should I actually pee off camera into a bottle and then try to talk, or should I delete this stream? Because I didn't really get into anything. I think I'll pee. In this case, I have a can. Theo, you mean to tell me that you pee into cans? What do you do with the pee? Do you drink? Well, I actually have tried doing that, but I lost the feeling for it after a certain period of time. This is a tart cherry can. I've already peed in it twice, and I'm going to do it a third time. So we're going to see how this goes. But it's going to be off camera. I don't think there's anything that can reflect my visage in the background, so I think we're good. So, gotta make sure I'm comfortably off camera. I hope you guys can still hear me. Still here. Oh, this is just, I don't know what it is. It's a thing. This is something. Here, this will keep you entertained. I have a candle. Oh, what's he gonna bring out next? Check this out. I have sunglasses. Okay. Well, this is kind of exciting. I wonder what he's gonna bring out next. This is a figurine. Okay. It's a figurine of a bird. It's a blue bird. All right. What is he gonna bring out next? Give me a window into my own life. This is She Legit. You don't know what She Legit is? Well, that means I'm smarter than you. Maybe look it up. Maybe read. Maybe become smarter. Maybe you should be smarter. Maybe you're not smart enough to know what She Legit is. She Legit is like stuff you find on rocks. I think it's like really old stuff that's supposed to be good for you. When you ingest it, it was a gift from a friend. Oh, I tell you, all these health remedies, health things, it's a bunch of crap, isn't it? At the end of the day. Anyway, I want to tell you about an experience I had where I raped a woman in my fantasy. And this might not be a good idea to tell, but at this moment I want to tell it because I want to destroy any premise that I'm a good person. I want people to know that I'm not a good person. I know what you're doing, Theo. You're trying to tell people that you're not a good person so that they can see you as an honest person because few people are willing to admit how bad of a person they are, but you are willing to admit that, and that makes me respect you. So you're actually a good person in a way. Instead of defending what I just did, which is burp, I'll just pause for like, let's do 5 seconds. Five. Okay. Let's try that. Instead of just defending what I'm, yeah, let's try that. Let's just say all the bad things and then not defend myself. So I've thought of killing people. Well, when you put it like that, Thea, that's not good. Now we have to call the authorities. Go ahead. Call the authorities. Let them know. I've thought about killing people. I've thought about raping people. Let me talk about the raping experience. So I was driving along at FedEx, and this was recent. I had met someone here in town. I moved, by the way. It's going to be a big reveal, something I was going to be proud of, but I'll just say it. I moved to Abilene, Texas from Denver, Colorado. And I was driving along, and I was just feeling really sexy, feeling horny, I guess is the word. And I was like, this is not good. It's not good. Because usually when I feel horny, like I want to have sex. But there was no one there to have sex with. So I, what do you do with that feeling? I've been trained by the world to push it down and then carry it out, you know, later in secret, you know, masturbating, watching things that get you going. And then for me, if I orgasm, then the feeling goes away. So you take care of it, you rub one out. But I'm not like everybody else. So I thought, why not masturbate at work? I've done it for a long time, ever since I found out what masturbating is. Yeah. So if you were if your line is don't masturbate at some people's line is he picks his nose and he eats the boogers that he finds, he's a bad person. Other people's line is, you know, he masturbates at work. So I will tell you that I do both of those things. So I'm not, now I'm fitting into different boxes. So maybe I don't know if I want hatred from people or I want sympathy. I don't know what's going on at this point. So I was driving around and I'm like, so I'm not like other people. I thought of just doing it. What if I just did it? And then I thought I'd have to do it in a way that no one can see me. So I parked. Next time I burp, I'm not going to hide it. You're going to experience it. You're going to see it, or you can turn away. That's your prerogative. Pretty nice how you have prerogative. Prerogative. You have free will choice in this universe. Very nice. Um, I found this dusty old locale, and I parked my truck, and I go in the back and I start masturbating. And as I often, well, I was kind of thinking before who I was going to be thinking about, and I started thinking about her, and she didn't at that point express that she was interested, that she was not interested in me. She wasn't. It turns out, and most women that I interact with and encounter, it turns out, seem to not be interested in me. So I've kind of taken it as a given that they're not interested. So what I've decided to do is many times I will just pretend that I'm having sex with them. What you might call a sexual fantasy. And in this fantasy, I started thinking about her and, having sex with her. And I was kind of pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and, or pulling it. What I'm by pushing it, I mean I was kind of like trying to get to the spot where I don't know what I'm trying to get. It's interesting some of the scenarios that I think of. Sometimes I think of like wooing someone, or sometimes I think of spending a lot of money on a woman, or going out on dates, or having a very romantic evening, or all kinds of things. And then at a certain point, the woman will relent, and then we can have sex. And yeah, sounds pretty bad. It's kind of what I'm going for right now. But she wasn't relenting, I guess. Even though I was kind of like already, I can't say make love. I wasn't making love to her. That would be erroneous. I was having sex with her in my fantasy, and but I wasn't orgasming. Which in my mind I was thinking, if I orgasm, then I won't have the sexy feeling that's disturbing my work. Which is it's funny because I don't want to be working, so it's pretty funny and hilarious. But yeah, so let me have a good day and let me just masturbate and try to reach a climax, and then I don't have to deal with this problem for the time being. Of course, it'll arise, and again at some later point where I become, horny. I guess is I don't like that word, but that's the word. One of the more available words. I can't say I was sexual. I am sexual. Everyone's sexual, but I was particularly sexual in the sense that I was excited at that moment. Anyway, whatever. I'm getting lost in the mundane details. Anyway, the point is, I was pushing, pushing, pushing. You know, I was having sex with her, and I was trying to get some reaction from her, I guess, to where I could orgasm, and it wasn't happening. So then at a certain point, I just started like pushing even harder in my fantasy, and you know, being more violent. And at that point, that's where it becomes a rape, right? Because you're not really responding to the person, you're more just trying to get what you want. and it didn't feel good. And I thought in my mind, this is someone I know. This is someone that ostensibly I care for. I don't know the depth of my feelings or if it goes beyond, wanting certain addictions to be met. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe it's that and a little more. Maybe there's some spiritual depth to it. I don't know. I can't tell you. But in that moment, I I didn't care about any concerns that I might have a loving feeling for this person in the sense of plutonic love or any kind of love. And I thought, let me just like I'm trying to put this delicately, but that's not it's not working. So let's just be more blunt. I was like railing this woman in my fantasy, like going very hard at this woman in my fantasy. And why I got to that point, it's hard to give you every note of the fantasy, and why I went to that point. But I was just thinking about the clock, I guess, is one of the things, and thinking about how my life feels very pathetic. I'm not with anyone, you know, I, I'm not able to find a loving relationship of any kind. Try not to feel sad because I want to tell a story and get to the point, but it's funny how I'm almost starting to feel sad, and that's probably what I should feel, but I don't want to feel that. So I was being in my own head calculating, and I was thinking like it's better to just rid myself of this feeling as fast as I can and get back to work because my boss might be wondering why I am in that location. I imagine that he can see where I am. I'm not sure, but at least he can see that I'm not doing anything for a period of time. And he could assume that I'm taking a break. But if he assumes that I'm doing something else, maybe that could lead to something else and whatever. So I was starting to get afraid, and I'm like, let me just get to where I need to go. And what I actually did too was I flipped from person to person, which I've done before in my fantasies, in my masturbation. And I went to other people and I tried, thinking about them and orgasming, but I wasn't able to do that. So I just went back to this woman, and for whatever reason, I felt like she was the only person that I could climax to, and I ended up climaxing finally after just really pushing it. And I felt awful. I felt disgusting afterward, but I felt some sense of relief that I could go back to work, and any questioning what I'm doing um, by my boss or whomever, I could keep the face, I could keep the facade, I guess, that I'm uh, a decent worker, and that way I have security in my job. So before I go on, I'm going to pee again. That's how that works. I think I have some problem with my my bladder. I guess I got some bladder issues, diabetes, prostate. I don't know. Shall I show you more things? I'm not sure if this is interesting anymore. This is something I put in my ear. I'm not sure how I feel about this. These are the newest technology, Bluetooth earphones. I think they have a mic too, microphone. Yeah. I I don't like the idea of charging things, so I'm not fully ready to embrace this technology. But when I'm at work and I want to be listening to something, and I have these wires that hang down over my seatbelt, and then I have to unlock my seatbelt, and all of those things, the wires become, and then I'm like dealing with my wires, and I'm um, picking up packages and whatnot. Yeah, that makes me think the wireless technology is going to be better overall. But I still have to charge these like once every 3 or 4 days, and it's just that extra step, and it's the extra price, extra cost, extra everything. I'm still not fully embracing of it, even though I am using it. I guess I'm in that honeymoon phase of embracing new technology. Hey, why do we even have computers? We should keep doing paper. You know? I know you want me to get back to like telling you how bad I am as a person and I'm cleaning my room instead of doing that. But I guess what I really wanted to do is just acknowledge how needy you are. Maybe you're someone that likes to have dirt on people. I don't know. I can't judge you and be correct. So probably have to pee again in 5 minutes. So that's how this is going to be. Um, yeah. So the thing about that fantasy is that I thought to myself that if I am prepared to rape someone in my mind, in my imagination, then that makes me that much more likely to rape someone in reality. Yeah. And when I thought about that, I felt extremely bad, extremely scared. And I thought about how I would change and devolve into this horrible beast. In fact, at that one location where I had stopped, I had previously delivered a package on a previous day, and there was a woman there who exhibited a kind of innocence. I said, "Here's this package for so and so," and she said, "Oh, that's my mother. Shall I take it to her, or am I allowed to take it, even though I'm not her?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." And that kind of hesitation and innocence was like, I guess, attractive. It sounds really gross to say that out loud, but there it is. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe I want to sleep with her. Maybe I want to rape her. Maybe I want to, um, you know, the uh, the remoteness. When you're in a remote setting, um, yeah, I thought about how you can be in a remote setting and you're you have more. You can do something in secret, supposedly, you know, and I think it's something that women feel a lot, where they're constantly questioning where I am, who I'm with, and how safe am I? How likely am I to be raped in this situation? Oh, I'm not supposed to talk about that? That's maybe I'm talking to a spirit. I don't know. Maybe there's women spirits around me that are like super angry that I'm talking about this. But is it is it worse that I talk about it, or is it worse that I think about it? Maybe I'm normalizing it by talking about it. I can take that point. Anyway, as far as myself and uh, what I was thinking at the time was that's something I'm prepared to do. I guess I'm prepared to rape someone because I'll do it in a fantasy. Most of my fantasies are not like that. I don't like that, believe it or not. And here I could talk about pedophilia. I made a video once, which was a big deal for me. I think it's a big deal for other people. Maybe I want to be so bad that I can be a big deal. At least I'm a big deal. At least I have some claim to fame by virtue of how disgusting I am. But I made that video and I never really explained in a very public way what I did or what I thought of doing. I told people in my private life what I thought of doing, but I always thought I'd get more into it like online because people might want to know. And I think I did say in that video that it was mostly like the fantasy I just shared with you. It yeah. It's not so much that I raped any child because I didn't rape any child, but I thought of having sex with children. I fantasized. So if this is content that you're not, you know, some people are going to walk away maybe refreshed that I'm being so honest, and some people are going to walk away just with a lot of hatred and a lot of maybe unresolved feelings of, how wicked people can be and how much I must remain scared of people. I can't really help you with that. All I can say is that for myself, I want to destroy any premise that people have that I'm a good person. I think I have positive traits. I think it's a blasphemy to suggest that I am all bad because I'm basically saying that myself as a creation is bad. Like it's important to keep the word bad as an adjective when you're describing someone. It's not that the person is bad, it's that things they do are bad. I guess. Maybe that's not said the best, but so if I were to just say, "Oh, I'm just bad in every way," that's not entirely true. But I just yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. This is stupid. This is really stupid. If I really wanted the world to think I was a bad person, I would admit to being a pedophile to everybody. Sometimes I want to do that, and I think I want to do that out of anger, but I also yeah, no, it's I mean it's anger. It is anger. I feel like a lot of people would be upset with me that I didn't share that particular point before I continue a relationship with them. Like like I can rent from someone and sit and in this particular situation right now, I didn't share with the prospective employer that I'm a pedophile, but um, but maybe if I did, he wouldn't rent this room to me, and then it would be more honest. So I don't know where I'm going with this. I find it interesting to consider what it means to want to share all the wickedness in your heart. Why do I want to share it? I find that question interesting. I wish somebody who knew what was going on could just knock on my door and walk in and say, "Hey, Thea, this is why you want to do that." Then I would know. But for the time being, I can only guess. I only have impressions, really. And where those impressions come from, I'm not sure. Is it my own logic, or is someone trying to help me to understand something? Um, if someone of higher intelligence came in and said, Theo, this is why you want to share all the horrible things about yourself with people. If they were to tell me that, um, I think they would also tell me, rather than sharing all of these things, why not just feel your emotions? And then I would say, well, I don't want to do that. Maybe that's why they're not walking through the door or making it perfectly obvious to me what's going on with me, because they know that it's kind of a waste of time because he's not willing to do the other thing, which is get better. And I can tell you that I don't feel like getting better. I'm pretty mad right now. I watched that video and, you know, I just, I totally get it. I get what spirits, I really felt, I don't know, I felt a lot of solidarity with the spirits who AJ and Mary were channeling. From their perspective, they think that people are just offering themselves to being manipulated. And AJ agreed with that. He's like, yeah, I know. People totally do. And then I thought, is that what's happening with me? Am I just in complete cahoots with a myriad of spirits that are around me that are trying to get me to do whatever crazy shit? Or, I mean, the thing is that I don't do so much as I think. I fantasize. And so I'm not like the bad guy on a motorcycle. I'm not a badass. I just think. And so I'm maybe if I was a badass, women would be more attracted to me. But in a lot of ways, I don't want that attention. It's stupid because I want to be. I'm sorry. This is so much. I get really theoretical and intellectual, and I feel like I'm saying 1,000 things at once. I really just have to pee again, so I don't want to stop right now. I don't want to. I feel like there's some momentum here, and I don't want to stop right now. So I'm going to continue, but I'm going to find something else to pee in because the can is full. So now we have this. That's the next container that is going to be, yeah. So maybe we should discuss how that's bad somehow and wrong somehow and evil somehow. Can you still hear me? I don't know if you can. I don't know if I should raise my voice. I don't know if I want to raise my voice. So I thought a lot of different things as I was peeing into that Arizona bottle. And, you know, If I want to continue this stream, I have to say something. This is something I thought about that I want to share. I've said this before, but I'm going to share it again. If if there's some kind of funeral for me, which it's not the best course of action. The best course of action, I think, would be to like send a text message to my friend that was like dated 5 days in advance or something. Or maybe I would send a letter and I would say, "Don't open it until this time." Hmm. Or maybe just don't tell anybody anything. Maybe I'll just, yeah. Instead of a funeral, which I think is kind of self-serving, it's better that I die alone in the woods. Maybe I bury myself. Theo, I don't like that. That's macabre. I don't like thinking about that. But I think it would be good because there's a lot of expense around burying someone, and I don't want to think about anybody paying that expense. I don't want anyone to have to pay for my burial. I feel bad. Now I could save up some money so that someone could, have funds to do that, but that's a whole mess. I don't want to do that. I'm not a very responsible person. But say there was a funeral type situation and people said things about their experience with me. People, I guess, tried to find some closure or whatever people do at funerals. Well, what are you doing? What's going on at a funeral? What's really going on? You trying to remember someone? You trying to put someone out of your mind? Um, I just would hate for people to get up there and say all the good things only. Like at least say one bad thing. Say something like he was a real jerk. He was not motivated. He told people for years that he was going to be making movies, and he didn't really do anything. He didn't really, yeah. And I remember how I would listen to him for hours talking about how difficult his life was, and I would try to just be there for him and hope that he would change, and he never did, and that was very difficult for me when I realized that. And now he's gone, and I don't know if he knows that that was hard. I never had the courage to tell him, and so he may never know how hard it was for me to be there trying to listen to him be really selfish about his own difficult life. Say something like that. That's good. That's good stuff. If you just talk about all the supposed good parts of me, I don't know. I don't want people to have that impression of me that I was only good. Tell people that he would often fantasize about young children. Disclose that. Like I don't know if you know this about Theo, but he was a pedophile. He wasn't only a pedophile. He thought about other women too, but That's one thing he was prepared to do that. He would at least fantasize about that, and I always kept him away from my kid. I made sure he wasn't in situations where he was around other children, and yeah. So if you get up there and you say only the good things, like as far as I'm concerned, you're weak and cowardly, and you lack courage, and maybe you should try to find some courage. So even after I die, I want people to know how bad I am. So I don't know where I can go from here. I feel like that was a fair bit, and I could start talking about the times that I fantasize about children, but I want to go into that in more depth, I suppose. And so I want to devote more time to that. And I don't have my thoughts collected very well just now, but maybe just to, I've been silent about it for a while, and maybe it's enough to just say that I've in much the same way that I fantasized about my friend. Um, I can tell you that I fantasize about children. Um, Rarely with the same amount of violence, but yeah, like is that enough, or do you want details? Is it good to give details? You know, I'm talking about children that are like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, all the way to 11, any age above like 4. I don't think you have any coherent thought when you're. I don't know if you have any sexuality. I don't know when you get that. People say it's when you're 18, but I think you could be more mature before then. But anyway, doesn't really matter to me. I think one thing that I have an issue with regards to women is the desire for attention, or rather, a need for attention. And when I end up getting attention, um, it doesn't really matter what your age is. I become attracted to you. So that's what's going on there, I believe. So maybe I should like seek out no attention from women and try that. That might be good to help to change. See how that feels. Maybe I should say things and do things that I know will like push women even further away. Even, you know, they're already pretty far pretty far, but maybe I can push them a little further so that I ensure that I will get no attention and see how that feels. And then maybe I can get into my fear and sadness that way. Yeah. I will say that, on a happier note, I have seen on some occasions how sex is tied to addictions for most of us. Like that as an idea sounds true based on certain situations that I've had. Um, yeah, I've just noticed how I've behaved around women. I don't have women in my social circle. For one, I don't have much of a social circle, but what social circle I have, it's inhabited by very few women. And the times that I've associated with them, usually at work. Um, I've noticed my behavior, and I've kind of gone through, why am I like talking to a woman and then saying something funny, and then she laughs, and then she walks away, and then I feel a certain way, and then I think about it for a long time, and I go over the uh, the situation, what just happened, my interaction with her for a long time, and I ask myself, why am I so obsessed with this situation that just happened? Why does this matter so much? It's not that big of a deal. And I notice how I'm just like barely functional, or at least I can't think of anything besides that situation for a long time. Like it takes my attention. It consumes my thoughts when I'm not doing some kind of work or anything else that I have to be doing at that moment. Um, every other moment is consumed with, thinking about this situation that just occurred, and it's a simple. A lot of people would. I guess what I'm saying is that a lot of people would cast aside those kinds of things. Little situations. You might say high achievers just ignore the simple situations, but I ask myself why it matters so much to me. And in meditating about that and asking questions about that and praying about it, I've gotten answers. And like that's what one conclusion I've gotten is that I want attention. Because one thing I found, another situation is that I I was not attracted to women, certain women initially, but then over time, as they gave me more attention, I became more attracted to them. So initially I'm not, but then over time I am. So if you know, yeah, yeah, there's a lot that's interesting there. I just find this interesting, so I'm going to keep talking about it. Um, there was one woman who invited me to study it. This happened twice. There were two women at two different occasions that invited me to their room to study, and I didn't want to have sex with them. So I tried to just study. I tried to actually study, but it became obvious that they didn't want to do just that. And it's really strange because I'm pretty literal, or I like people being literal. You know, I wondered why they couldn't just say, "Hey, I'm attracted to you. Why don't do you want to do something?" No, they said like, "You want to come over and study? You want to just hook up?" Like, if they just said hook up, that would have been easier for me. I literally went over there to study 3 times. It happened 3 times. So that is funny. It's it's funny when you actually go over there and you're like, okay, let's study, which is weird. I don't know how. What are we doing? You're a woman, I'm a man. But I was so naive, or doesn't it feel like naive? I wasn't an idiot. I'm just literal. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you ask me to come over to study, then I think you want to study. I feel like it's wrong. Call me an idiot, but I feel like it's wrong to assume that you want to have sex with me. If you wanted to have sex with me, ask me if I want to have sex with you. You know, like like it's so funny because in this world, like someone saying, "Hey, you want to like." In America, I guess the social mores is or are, if you're a woman and you're asking a man to hang out, that means you're wanting to have sex, or that like it's all done and dusted. It's I'm making the way clear for you to have sex with me. And if the opposite is kind of different, it's more like, hey, we can have a date. Like if a man says, "Do you want to hang out?" It's more like, "Do you want to have a date or whatever? Do you want to actually hang out?" Because yes, I want to have sex with you, but um, I want you to be comfortable before that happens, so that you don't tell people that I raped you. So it's a little different. But I was supposed to understand that if a woman invites me to study with them, that it's time to have sex. And so it was awkward going to this woman's room and then being bewildered and trying to actually study with someone, and then they don't want to study. They're not doing that. I'm like, okay, so where do we study? Let's study. Let's open a book. Let's look at some notes. And then they're just like in one situation, the room was completely clean, and the woman was just sitting on her bed. It was a queen size bed, and it was a big bed, and she was just sitting there. She was looking at me, and I'm like, you need to do a little more, okay? It became obvious pretty quick, but then because there was like no space to even study, the desk was occupied with other things, and she was like actively trying to move me from the desk, using her eyes, but she wasn't saying anything. So maybe say something. Please be more literal for my benefit, because I can still be accused of being a raper or rapist, unless you say it. But then I guess in a woman's mind, it's like, if I say it, then the mystery is gone or something. Does it really? Is that true? I don't know. Maybe the mystery does disappear. So now I feel like I've invited you back. I feel like there's some array of sunshine here. I forget where I was going with all of that. Now I'm wrestling with whether I should pee again. I do have to pee, but I also want to like make a fine point on all of that. I guess I feel a little bit better just thinking about times where women wanted to have sex with me. That's a rare thing. I feel bad that I've never had a situation where it was more obvious. Like, women do seem to want you to make the first move, supposedly. And by first move, it's like an overt gesture. And I think that sucks. It really sucks. There's an expectation that a man makes the first gesture, when in fact we're gesturing all the time. Our eyes are a gesture. Our feelings might even be a gesture. So, but men are expected to make the first overt gesture, cross the line beyond looks and feelings, and do something more overt. So one time, I put my hand on a woman's thigh. Okay, and that was an overt gesture. And yeah, that was really stupid. Not that I put my hand on her thigh, but later she expressed to me, she's like, "You just put your hand on my thigh." And I didn't, I guess I want to, do something with you, but I was bewildered by the fact that you put your hand on my thigh. Like, no, you weren't. Stop lying. Because at the time, so this is what happened. I'll try to not give too many details, but I told someone that I was interested in this one woman, and then the person I told the woman, and then the woman invited me to hang out. So I guess I should have told her I was interested long ago. I was too afraid. I was too cowardly. So yeah, so it's a pretty obvious set of circumstances. I'm interested in her. She knows she learns of my interest, and now that she knows that it's safe to move forward, she gets in contact with me. Although I've been interested in her for a while, so if she let me know earlier, I remember where I was going with the previous thing. Um, yeah, if she had let me know earlier, then we could have taken care of business earlier. But she was too afraid to do that, and I was too afraid to do that too. So we were both afraid. But I mean, you're not going to let me. You think it's weird that I put my hand on your thigh? Like we both know we're interested in each other. That's what's funny and strange. But yeah, it's also interesting that I like in the case of earlier, you know, when I wasn't prepared to just hook up with any woman. Um, when people invited me over to study, um, first of all, I thought it was a sin to just go and have sex with you. Like for me, it's like, hey, I'll fantasize about you. I'm allowed to do that somehow, apparently, but I'm not ready to have sex with you. I mean, later I thought like, oh, that would have been nice if I just did have sex, but I also understand where I was at that time, so I don't punish myself too much in that regard. But if you invite me over to study and you really want to have sex, and then I don't have sex with you, one reason is because I think I think it's strange. Yeah, I guess I think it's what I'm saying is I think it's strange, but I'm also upset at the fact that women. Yeah, this is fucking weird. Okay, so women are not supposed to make the first move, and by move, we've already established it's the overt gesture. It's not the feelings or the looks or the minor things, minor interactions or gestures. It's the overt gesture. Men are supposed to make the first overt gesture. And I hate that. I think that's stupid. Meanwhile, I don't like it when women make the first gesture. So put that in your smoke and pipe it. Okay? Put that in your smoke and pipe it. Try to make sense of that. Okay? Put that in your smoke and pipe it. Okay. I'm saying it the wrong way so many times. I'm starting to think that's the right way. Um, I hate that women don't make the first move, and yet I need to make the first move. There was another occasion in which a woman like climbed onto me, and I pushed her away from, or she went in to kiss me, and I didn't let her kiss me, even though I was super attracted to her. So that was weird. It's the fact that she was overt. At some point, I'm going to apologize. I have to apologize for this. This is wrong. That I have this expectation that women are not overt, and yet when they are overt, it's a problem. Like, that's got to be hard for women if they're interested in you to get those mixed signals. So, yeah, I'm not ready to apologize yet, but at some point, I'm sure I will have to do that. So, I guess I'm saying that I'm prepared to turn people away if they're interested in me. Yeah. I forget why I'm saying that, but maybe I'll figure out why I'm saying that. But right now, I need to pee again. So you have like 2 minutes. 2 minutes to think. Think on your life. Think on what you're doing with your time. Are you listening to this at 1.5x speed? You know, maybe it's not a good idea to listen to someone drone on about their problems. It's probably a better idea to deal with your own problems. You know, I watch a lot of videos and I think that I'm helping myself. But it's rare that I actually get into my feelings. I'm actually very opposed to getting into my feelings. AJ will say that it's just a feeling, but I guess it's more than that for me. I wish I could believe that. But if I did believe that, I would be getting into them. In fact, I think it's a mountainous, it's like climbing a mountain. And I hate climbing mountains. Why do people why do people climb mountains? What is wrong with people? That's one thing I don't understand. Why not just work 40 hours a week and engage your addictions for the rest of the time and then die and then go to the spirit world and, you know, enter a hellish situation in which you degrade further and further and further and further because you're probably um, engaging addictions with other people on earth and isn't that better? Listening about what it's like to live in the spirit world in a hellish situation is very frightening. I guess I can appreciate life on Earth to some degree because it is it's not so restrictive. Like I've heard of people not being able to move, not even being able to sit. You're in such a confined space that you're not able to sit down. So essentially, you're standing. I hope to God you're at least leaning against something. I hope all of the pressure is not placed on the muscles of your legs and feet and pelvis. But I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe you're exhausted and you know you're in that situation for 50 years. I'm sure people have been in that situation for longer, 100 years, just like that. You were on Earth and you were in a hellish situation, but now you are in a truly, truly hellish situation. And I think to myself, I really would not like that. At least on Earth, I have this bed. I've got a bed, which is sometimes feels good, but actually, if you're on it long enough, you don't feel good. When you're depressed and you take too much time lounging around on the bed, I know from experience it's not enjoyable. So it's weird how You know, it's usually very enjoyable after a long day of hard work or even minor work. If it's long enough, it still feels really good to get in that bed. But in the spirit world, um, certain locations, my understanding is that you don't get any soft things to touch. Yeah, so I can hear that, and I can, get the impression of how horrible hell is, and still not change my life to avoid it. So I think at some point I might talk more about my uh, attraction to children, but I'm not going to do it today. I'll say this: I get really upset. One time I was really getting into some of my feelings about that and why I'm like that because that is really people do not like that in society. People are very unhappy, very very unhappy with the idea that you're a pedophile. On one hand, they're afraid that you might hurt their child and maybe that their life will become more difficult because they have to now put you away or um, get embroiled in a situation with you where they don't know exactly what the right thing to do is. Um, and on the other hand, they I can't even think of. I just had it and then I lost it. Please remember to. I lost that too. Um, oh yes, the other hand is that they now have to question whether they are pedophiles themselves. Like I think that there are people, not everybody, I won't say everybody. There are people who never questioned. Like there are people who fell into social conventions. If I get married and then I have a family, then society will accept me. And any unresolved issues of sexuality that I had from my youth, um, I could just forget. I will be able to forget about all those things because at least now I'm acceptable by society and I'm able to eke out an existence. You can tell here, by the way, I'm not being very generous or kind or compassionate or empathetic with people who get married or have families. I'm actually not. And by the way, if you want to know whether I would like to have children, the truth is I would. And it's the wrong time maybe to bring it up, but I truly would because I'd like to have the opportunity to raise a child differently to other people. But maybe that's selfish. It might very well be selfish. I don't know. I'm always asking if I'm selfish. I feel like it has to do with I always do something and then I immediately question it. And I think that's to do with some self punishment thing. But where was I going with the whole pedophilia thing? I wish somebody could send me a message to get me back on track. Um, oh yeah, I was getting into my feelings about pedophilia, and I found a lot of anger at society. I was sharing how I felt about society. I think it's so horrible how we're expected to know what to do sexually. Like, I guess I do actually feel that there's a lot of expectations put on you for how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to treat other people, what a proper life is. Um, like, what if I'm having sex with a woman that I've been married to for 10 years, and then halfway through the sex act, I realize I really don't want to be doing this? What do you do then? If you stop, let's say she's really enjoying it, okay? And you stop. She might tell you that you're not enough of a man. What do you do then? I would say that at that point, you're supposed to keep on having sex. I think society would have you keep having sex because sex is good, because sex binds people together, because sex makes a marriage strong, right? So anytime you have feelings of doubt and insecurity, or any of those nasty feelings, just keep on having sex, and that makes me really upset. I feel constrained. I feel pushed in a certain direction, and like that's one reason why I don't want to get married is that I feel like that would definitely happen, and I'd feel sufficiently pressured to keep up an appearance, you know. So, and I hate how children have been treated. I hate that children have been told. It's like before you even know what sex is, you're told to not think about it. Like you have a sexual organ, and don't touch it. Don't ask anybody about it. Don't think about it. Like that's so fucked up. And then for me, like it wasn't until I feel like when I was 12 or something, I might have I might have started getting some blood going into my penis, and the start of an erection. I don't know. What I remember is starting to have fantasies. One of my first fantasies. I feel like I have so much to say. I want to write a book, but I don't have the patience at this point to do that. So this is one of the things I would have written in a book. So yeah, be happy that I'm sharing something with you. Before that happens, or don't. I'm not saying I'm particularly amazing, but one of my first fantasies, and this is strange, and I find it interesting because it's so strange. Like, what does it mean? I don't know. Again, I would love if there's a spirit out there that would like to manifest themselves outside my door, knock on the door, say, "Can I come in?" Then I'd say, "Hey, who the fuck are you?" And then they'd be like, "I'm a spirit that just manifested. You were asking me about me." And I'd be like, "Holy shit, that's really cool." And I'd be like, "Come in." And then hopefully it's not like a ghastly fiend, like it's not a monster. But if it wasn't, and it was a beautiful, loving spirit that has a physical body at that particular point because they manifested one, and they were to tell me, "This is what your fantasy means, Theo," I'd love that. But barring that, I'll just have to tell you what the fantasy is and just continue wondering about it. So the fantasy was that there was this huge giant woman. I don't know where she came from, but she was a giant woman, and she was portly. She had um, folds, tires of fat, but she was still very attractive to me, and she was naked, a giant naked woman, huge, in fact, like toweringly giant, very big. her height changed. Her size changed based on the fantasy. I guess put her at different sizes. But was she had. I remember she had like red, orange hair and curls, and she was naked. And my job was to hide her. She was naked and afraid, and she was very exposed in the woods of New York where I was growing up. And good news, I'm here to help you, giant woman. I will hide you using my body. But the thing is that I was not giant, I was just my normal size. So I would hide. We were pretending, we were playing pretend that I could actually hide her. This is like 8, I don't think it's as early as 8. I want to say the earliest was probably like 9 years old, all the way to like 12 years old. It wasn't like I had, anyway, that was the time period I would have had that fantasy. Not that I had it consistently through those years. So I thought it was weird. So I wouldn't have it consistently, but I did have it. And um, I was trying to hide her with my own body. And where I would hide myself on her person and things like that. I didn't know much about female genitalia at that point. I had seen it, but I kind of like, you know, tried to suppress the memory of seeing it. I did the one thing that people do where they try to explore their sexuality. And there was this adopted child of this one family, and she came over, and we kind of knew each other a little bit. And I said, "Hey, why don't we play this game?" And I thought a lot about it because this might be wrong. But to be honest, AJ and Mary were talking about, AJ had said, like, sometimes children will explore their sexuality. I should probably stop the stream and just cry a little bit, but so I clearly have more to cry about in this regard, but I haven't worked out if it's moral to cry on camera. I don't think it is really. I don't think it is. I think that's a more private thing. I don't know. It's like making a show out of something very personal. So anyway, I'm gonna stop crying. But yeah, AJ said like it's really sometimes women, sometimes children. Well, the way he said it was children will explore their sexuality, and then adults will probably come in and talk about um how bad that was. They'll they'll cut that off right away. They'll stop that from happening. And I guess the fact that he said that it was so compassionate. Anyway, it made me think about that experience that I had where I again like I I can't even tell you because I have to, I have to defend myself even before I. So I have to tell you that I was the one that asked to do it. Even though I was so young, you could really argue that I was so innocent at that point. I wasn't fantasizing about women I want to have sex with in a FedEx truck at that point. So that means I was okay, right? I don't know. Maybe if you're one of those people that thinks that we're all psychopaths and none of us can be, some people cannot be redeemed. Some of us don't have souls, which, by the way, I think is a very, very ugly belief. And I would ask you to please not have that belief. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. But if you're one of those people, you think that I'm a psychopath and soulless by virtue of being a pedophile, even though there is some evidence that I have some kind of feeling somewhere. Like, how does that happen? If you're a pedophile, then if I'm a pedophile and I have no feeling, oh, don't try to normalize pedophilia, Theo. See, that's why that video that I made was so fucked up because it was like just a lot of crazy feelings felt at once. Trying to get through a video where I'm trying to admit this because I want to for some reason, and I'm not gonna try to ask why, unless the spirit wants to come through the door. But yeah. So let me just say it. So I was probably like 7 or 8, okay, and a girl came over to the house, and we went into my uncle's room, and he wasn't there at the time, and I was like, "Why don't you pull down your pants, and I'll pull down my pants?" And she, like, there was a lot, but I'm not going to give you all the details because it's hard to even explain how I felt about it all. But I definitely felt it was wrong. It was bad. And so much so that I ended up not even pulling down my pants. Although I was kind of like getting myself ready to. I was ready to. Or maybe I felt that that was what, maybe I was being manipulative. Maybe by making a show that I would pull down my pants. See, this is how I question everything, every little fucking thing. My life sucks because I can't make decisions because I have to question everything. And I get so fucking tired of questioning everything sometimes that I actually do something, mostly out of anger, I think. And then I think, oh, that was bad that I did that because I'm angry. So that has a bad motivation, and that was wrong. Anyway, I started pulling down my pants, and then she pulled down her pants. She didn't pull down her underwear. I think she was ready to, but when she pulled down her pants and I saw her in her underwear, that was enough for me to stop the whole thing. And I said, maybe we shouldn't do this. And I kept my pants on and put on whatever, I redid my pants and then we left the room. And I felt that was really naughty what we had done, you know? And I'm sure there may be people who, I don't know, there's probably someone out there that would think, oh, it's not naughty, Theo. It's not, it's not, you're just exploring something. You had no avenue to explore your sexuality, so that's what you did at that time. But if I told you that I'm a pedophile now, then you might not say that because, you know, I'm just an inherently fucked up human being. So maybe it wasn't for me. I feel like these sexual questions are so important and we don't talk about them. And that's one reason why I made that video where I talked about how I'm a pedophile because I want people to talk about the things that are really scary to talk about, really supposedly bad to talk about. People think I put on a show with that. And maybe I did. Maybe I did. I'm not going to discount that, but I feel like my desire for honesty on this issue and exploring this issue is also not to be put down. I just don't have the courage to talk about it more. And I don't know what the proper situations, honestly, are to talk about it. Like I quipped to my friend, maybe I should share that I'm a pedophile every time I meet someone new, because there are some people that believe that if I know this person is such and such a way, pedophile or any other thing, then I wouldn't have engaged a relationship with them in the first place, a friendship or relationship or like romantic relationship or any kind of relationship, business relationship. So if that's true, then wouldn't it be the decent and proper thing to actually let them know initially? And he said, no, no, that wouldn't be the right thing to do because um, I don't know, it's just too fucking weird to say, hey, how are you? I'm a pedophile before we go any further. I just want you to know that. And I get that. I get how that's weird. And maybe it's not appropriate. And generally, I don't do that. I don't think I've ever done that. I've thought about it, though. I wonder if at any point I decide that's the better course of action, then I will do that. But right now, on the one hand, thinking about how weird people think that is and dealing with their fear about me or whatever is one concern. And on the other hand, thinking about how they might harm me is another concern. And that keeps me from doing it. So, like, I would like people to talk more about sexual stuff. AJ and Mary don't talk about their own sex life that much. They have a few times. And I personally have appreciated it. I don't feel that I've judged them. I laughed in a post that Mary made where he talks about where she talked about her. She was saying, I think she said God and my vagina in the blog post she wrote, and I'm like, that's so funny. You're not supposed to do that. I think I think the title itself is like, yeah, the title might be. I mean, now I want to find it. Okay, I'm gonna find it. The title itself is something like two words that are not supposed to go together in the same sentence. Sentence. That's the title, and I'm like, wow, that's super inventive. I love that. Oh man. Okay. I want to read this. I hope she doesn't mind. Okay. 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 So she titles this "The Post in Which I Mention God and My Vagina in the Same Sentence." That's the title. It's like awesome. That's awesome. That's so awesome. Like I respect her so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. Um, and I don't know. I don't know if I want to read this right now because I'm kind of like it's a long thing, and I'd probably end up commenting on it a lot and everything. But if you want to find it, you can search for the post in which I mentioned God and my vagina in the same sentence, and it's going to be on her blog, Notes Along the Way. So yeah, and then I'll recount one other experience where AJ talks about some of his sex life, um, and it's funny because when he talked about this, he he went through the motions of like, is this right to say? Should I share this? And I don't know if he was more concerned about Mary or himself. I really wonder because he's usually pretty selfless in a way. He's not selfish. But what he shared was, I found in my relationship with Mary that if she gets sexually excited, then I will also become sexually excited at that very moment. And where we are doesn't matter. So he could be out in the yard and she could be inside the house, and that could be taking place. And that's really cool. Actually, in this post, Mary goes even deeper. She talks about at one point where AJ is touching her um, labia. I think I should say vulva. You know, if you're a Christian, you might not even know that it's better to call female genitalia vulva. The vulva is the outer part of the female genitals. The vulva includes the opening of the vagina, sometimes called the vestibule, the labia majora, outer lips, the labia minora, inner lips, and the clitoris. Around the opening of the vagina, there are two sets of skin folds. Yeah. So, did you know that? How many women didn't even know that? Didn't know the proper terms for parts of their vagina, let alone men. I mean, men obviously would not know that. They're not supposed to. A lot of people are not supposed to know that, supposedly. But I am glad that I am not in a tight Christian community or religious community of any sort where I'm not supposed to know that. Because I wanted to know that, and now I know it. You know, a lot of men don't even know how important it is to stimulate the clitoris with a woman. Turns out it's pretty important. And I was not told that. I learned about that, I don't know, somewhere in my 20s. I never was told about it by people in my church. Why? Is pleasure wrong? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a religious tenet to believe that pleasure is wrong. Sexual pleasure especially. Or maybe any pleasure. Sometimes all pleasure is wrong. So yeah. In this post, maybe I can find it. Maybe I'll just read that section of the post. Okay. Here okay. Now this is something Mary is saying. She put it in a public post, and any comments, I should say, any opinions that I have after reading this, it's completely my own commentary. I'm not being told what to say or anything, and it's not necessarily correct what I have to say because I respect these people and I don't want them. I don't want that what they're saying to be misconstrued. So I'm just reading what she's saying. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So she writes, um, sometimes after what she says previously, AJ and I were lying in bed one morning. Oh, sometime after this, AJ and I were lying in bed one morning and began to make love. After a few minutes, AJ abruptly stopped and said, "Babe, I just feel like you are so angry. I can feel all of this anger coming from you, especially when I touch your vagina." Okay, so that's a kind of very personal story from Mary about the sexual experience that she had. And she goes on to talk about that, and it's all very interesting. So you should read it if you're interested. Um, but yeah, when I read that post, like I immediately judged it actually, but then I soon thereafter laughed at my feelings of judgment because it's so honest and wonderful that I can't be mad. Like, how often do people talk about issues to do with sexuality? Yeah. So I guess I want to just talk about how sex and sexuality is so taboo, and by making it so taboo, we are hurting people. The proper thing to do, I think, is to talk about it and I guess to explore our own sexuality, to explore our own emotions. Really, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Um, but I just want to say that I think the best thing to do is to talk about it in the proper context and to say that um, if if you don't love the person you are having sex with, reconsider what you're doing. So if I had children, I would tell them, listen, sex is like a lot of different things. It's a feeling. It's it's something you could do with your own physical body, where you can manipulate your own sexual organ, or you can manipulate someone else's sexual organ. Um, um, you could even say kissing is kind of like a sexual interaction, or touching someone can be a sexual interaction. And any of those things, I think it's good that you explore those things, but try to explore it with honesty and compassion and empathy and all of that. Like, I wouldn't reduce a conversation about sex with somebody to like the parts of your body. I wouldn't just say what it is physically. I'd say what it is emotionally and things like that. I'd say don't engage in sex if you don't want to. If you're afraid to, look at why you're afraid to. Try to tell whether you don't want to or you're just afraid to. So I think on the one hand, it's wrong to encourage a lot of sex. And I think when we talk about it, we could be doing that. It is like a normalization, but it's also wrong to say nothing. And my chief um, uh, complaint with society is that we say nothing and we don't know anything about it. And I could say, well, no one talks about it, and that's why we're all fucked up. But really, I think we're all fucked up because no one's feeling how they feel about it, including me. I have a lot of anger and resentment built up over time because people expect me to act a certain way, to be a certain way with regards to sex. And no one told me the right way. It's such a it's such a sensitive topic because people are so um, out of touch with themselves. I think truth does come into it. Like, we got to talk about truth here, right? Like, if it's loving to rape someone, then rape someone all you want. But it's not loving to do that. So consent has to be involved. But then there's degrees to consent. I would say if you want to have sex with someone, but they say that they want to have sex with you, but if you feel like they don't really want it so much as they want to be accepted or they want to um, I guess feed an addiction. It doesn't sound right, but I guess the need for security is an addiction. So if someone wants to have sex just because they want to feel more secure, then don't necessarily have sex with them in that situation. Believe it or not, with all my sexual deviancy, I wouldn't necessarily do that. I can't say that for sure. There was a 69-year-old woman that I really wanted to have sex with, and I tried over and over and over again. I've been thinking about this recently. I tried a lot to have sex with her, and she never relented. And I always thought that she even said the day after our initial like sexual encounter, which we didn't like get all the way to penetration, but there was some touching and stuff like that. The day after, she sat me down. And she said, "Listen, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have sex with you." And I thought, "Damn, that really sucks." Because she's telling me it's a no go. It's not going to happen. And from that day forward, I still tried. Like I would still want to be friends with her. She wanted to be friends with me, but then I still found that I was sexually um, attracted. In other words, I felt a sexual energy come up thinking about, I don't know. I don't know how it happens. I don't know what goes on inside. I don't know how much it's a spirit um, using me or manipulating something inside of me or what. I feel like finding out about how a lot of sexual desire has to do with addictions is the way to deal with my own pedophilia and my own problems with sexual deviancy. In other words, let's say that AJ and Mary, these two people in Australia, um, are correct about soulmates. That I have no real way to think about this. You know, I can't tell you if it's right or not that there are soulmates. Sometimes it makes sense, and I've had experiences to suggest that there's something to it. But at the end of the day, I don't know it. But let's say they're right. If they're right, and all of this, all of these experiences I have sexually, where I'm attracted to different people, like all the time, and I become horny or sexually engaged or whatever, and then I do something about it. If I can, and a lot of times I don't enjoy it. Okay, this is a problem that I have where I become too loquacious. It's a good word for me. Um, let me be more brief. Let me just try to say more briefly. That's my way out. Say start going down the garden like all these paths when I become too loquacious. So if it's true that I have a soulmate, then and happiness in sex would come from engaging a relationship with my soulmate. Um, then it really would make sense to um, drop all to do that to do that. If I have a soulmate out there, then I should only be with her, and all the attractions I have towards anyone else are things that I should drop, meaning pedophilia, attraction to children, attraction to being a gerontophile, being attracted to older women, um, my mommy complex, where I'm attracted to role playing a mother and son dynamic in porn or in. So I've never really fantasized about my mother sexually, but sometimes in the sexual act, in a fantasy, that will come in because I'll feel so bad. Like I'll think about someone in a motherly position to me in my fantasy, and then I will think you are attracted to her because you have an Oedipus complex or whatever, where you're attracted to your mom. And so if you're really attracted to your mom, why don't you just think about your mom? That's what goes on in my head when I'm fantasizing. And then I will say, why don't you just think about your mom sexually? And then I will go there. But then that's so disgusting and repulsive to me that I will go away from that. I don't want to imagine having sex with my mother. That's so disgusting. I don't want to cross that line. But I will still role play it. So, you know, take that for what it is. But if I can drop all of these things, that would be awesome. If I really do have one person out there that I'm meant to be with, it sounds like it would be a great load off my shoulders to actually drop all of my other attractions to anybody else. And going about that would, if AJ and Mary are right, it would have to do with undoing all of my addictions and having the desire to feel my fear. Because so far, it does seem to be true that you can't get rid of an addiction unless you feel the fear underneath it. I have tried so many ways to lose weight, so many ways. And the one thing I really haven't tried to any great degree is feeling my fear. I tried recently and I realized I just didn't want to. So I kind of have to go back to the drawing board with that. But if sexual addictions are much the same way, then I would have to pray a lot about developing desire to look at my emotions with regards to sex, looking at what I'm desiring, what addictions I want to be met, and asking God to help me to not engage those addictions and to feel the emotions underlying those addictions. And that's why I'm interested in how a lot of my attractions could be just emotional addictions. And so when I realized that I wanted attention from women, that was very powerful. When I realized that I want to actually make the first move, even though I secretly hate that I'm put in a position as a man to always make the first move. And that's how it often goes with addictions. You engage in addiction and you hate yourself the whole way through. You hate what you're doing as you engage in. So, yeah. So those are powerful things to realize. It's not to say that I'm going to do anything about it, but I was all over the place in this stream. I think I should really end this stream. I could continue. I got to pee again. I don't think I'm going to do that on stream. So I think this ended pretty well, actually. I was afraid that I was going to just talk about all the bad things about me, but I actually got somewhere to share, more positive things, and I think it's good to not just share bad things without having any like positive message after it all. But yeah, I really wish I could have like 6 months off of work. If someone actually bankrolled me for like a period of time and I could just have someone to talk to about all of these things, someone who is very loving and knows the truth of the universe, and I could just share all these things instead of inflicting all of this on the world on my YouTube channel, then that would probably be very healthy. But as it is, this is what you have to go with. So if you listen to the whole thing, I hope you didn't listen at slow speed, because this is not powerful, enriching stuff. I am not very developed. Like I think I'm going to hell. I do. Maybe I can slide on by somehow and not go into the. I probably won't go into the depths of hell, but I'll probably land somewhere in the middle regions. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think I'm going to go to the second sphere. I think I'm. Yeah. I gotta stop talking about myself. But yeah. Well, how do you end? Am I supposed to end saying, "I hope good things happen to you"? I hope something good happens to you. That doesn't sound right. Should I end with some advice? How can I properly give you advice if there's so much clearly wrong with me? Should I wish something for you? Isn't that the same as hoping? Should I wish that you do something? I'm not in the mood to wish. So wouldn't that be a lie? So really, the way to end the stream is just to say, "I'm going to end it here," or something, or or say goodbye. Just say goodbye. So why don't we try that? I'm just going to say goodbye. Okay. I'm not doing it yet, but I'm going to do it. I'm about to do it. Okay. I'm not ready to do it right now. And if I did it right now, it would be dishonest because I'm not ready to say that. But when I say it, you'll know that I'm ready. Okay. So let's see. Am I ready to do it now? No. Um, I'm just going to make myself ready, actually. So here we go. Actually, before I do that, I want this to be seamless. So I located the end stream button at the bottom, and I think I hit that button, and then they ask, "Are you sure?" And then I got to hit another button. So I'm gonna do that seamlessly. I'm gonna say goodbye, and then you're gonna notice that my eyes are gonna look down to end stream, and I'm gonna click on that, and then I'm gonna click on another button in the text box that comes up. So this is gonna be relatively seamless. So here we go. Goodbye.